Here's a hand to the boy who has courage to do what he knows to be right. When he falls in the way of temptation, he has a hard battle to fight. Who strives against self and his comrades will find a most powerful foe. All honor to him if he conquers, a cheer for the boy who says no. There's many a battle fought daily the world knows nothing about. There's many a brave little soldier whose strength puts a legion to rout. And he who fights sin single-handed is more of a hero, I say, than he who leads soldiers to battle and conquers by arms in the fray. Be steadfast, my boy, when you're tempted, to do what you know to be right. Stand firm by the colors of manhood, and you will overcome in the fight. The right be your battle cry ever in waging the warfare of life. And God, who knows who are the heroes, will give you the strength for the strife. May the good Lord be with you down every road you go. And may sunshine and happiness surround you when you're far from home. May you grow to be proud, dignified and true. And do unto others as you'll have done to you. Courageous and be brave, and in my heart you'll always be forever young, forever young. Fortunes be with you, may your guiding light be strong. Build us fair way to heaven for a prince or a vagabond. And may you never love in vain, and in my heart you will remain forever young, forever young, forever young, forever young. Run away, hoping that I served you well. For all the wisdom of the lifetime, no one can ever tell. Never road you chose. I'm right behind you, win or lose, forever young, forever young, forever young, forever young. Ever, ever young, for ever young. (2021 to 2030 is the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, and the Decade of Action for Road Safety. It's the 10th day of the 10th month of 2022, the International Year of Sustainable Mountain Development, the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development, the International Year of Glass, and the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. Put another way, it's the 10th day of the month of the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season, and according to the National Center in Miami, Florida, Tropical Storm Julia to remain as a tropical storm while it moves across Nicaragua today and reaches the adjacent Pacific waters this evening. Tropical storm warnings are in effect along the Pacific coasts of Nicaragua, Honduras, and El Salvador to account for the likelihood of tropical storm force winds in those areas through today. Tropical force winds are also possible today along the Pacific coast of Guatemala, where a tropical storm watch is in effect. Life-threatening flash flooding and mudslides are expected across portions of Central America today. Flash flooding is anticipated across the Isthmus of Tehuantepec in Mexico early this week. Closer to home, there's a trough across Jamaica. The trough is expected to remain across the island over the next few days. The rest of this afternoon, isolated showers and thunderstorms, mainly across central and western parishes. Night, partly cloudy. Here in Jamaica, otherwise, in terms of observances, the month of October is still being celebrated as Oral Health Month, National Egg Month, Jamaica Red Cross Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, National Heritage Month, and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Meanwhile, Jamaicans are marking this week as Mental Health Week and National Heritage Week. It's World Day Against the Death Penalty. The people of Cuba are marking the anniversary of the beginning of the War of Independence. It's Double 10th Day, a national holiday in Taiwan, Moi Day in Kenya, and a Party Foundation Day in North Korea. It's World Mental Health Day. Hoy es lunes, el 10 de octubre 2022, y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones. Y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos. C'est lundi, le 10 octobre 2022, et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutent, que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être à votre service pour une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story. Le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme l'un de soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both sides of the story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:15. Looking for signage and branding for your business? Call the experts at Hieroglyphics Limited, located at 14 Bellatra Avenue, Kingston 10. We do all types of signs, including backlit signs, metal signs, rounded signs, channel letter signs, vehicle wraps, banners, and much more. Call us today at 876-906-6910 or 876-906-8196. Hieroglyphics Limited, taking you to the next level.
It continues to be all smiles at Wellington Dental. We offer dental care for the entire family, including cleaning, filling, whitening, and other dental services. There's wheelchair access and an exciting play area for the children. Wellington Dental, 57 Wellington Street, Spanish Town. Telephone 876-984-5482 or 876-749-3515.
For 50 years, Under the Law has been helping you to know your rights and how the laws of Jamaica can help you defend those rights. And we continue to do this in 2022. The program is brought to you on Wednesdays by the Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy. Under the Law at 6:45 and 8:55 a.m. and at 4 and 9:55 p.m. on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot for staying with us on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Just in case you missed the opening in Spanish and French, here's the English. All we're saying is it's Monday, the 10th of October, 2022, and we greet you well. Wherever in the world you are listening to us right now, we remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices. And that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome. Hello to those of you listening to us on 106.1, 106.3, 106.5, 106.7, and 106.9 from Moran Point to Negril Point, from the Goat Islands to Galena Point. This is Power 106 FM, serving Jamaica and the diaspora. Hello to those tuned in via the Power 106 FM app, which you have downloaded from the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on the nature of your device. Downloading is free. Listening is free whenever, wherever. We acknowledge those who have dialed a designated number to listen to Power 106 FM from the United States or the United Kingdom. Those in the U.S. who wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM can call 631-359-8281. 631-359-8281. If you're in the United Kingdom and you wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM, your number is 0330-606-0953, 0330-606-0953. We're streaming live video on the Dervan Malcolm Facebook page. If you're not there yet, log on to Facebook. In the search box atop the page, type DERVAN MALCOLM. And you too will be able to not just hear, but see what's happening in the studios of Power 106 FM. If you don't have a Facebook account, no sweat. There's always YouTube. You don't need to have an account, a Facebook account in order to, or to have a YouTube account. You don't need to have a YouTube account in the first place. And therefore, all you need is a smart device, a smartphone, a tablet computer, laptop, desktop, any one of those. and then you need internet connection. Then you need to check for connectivity or test for connectivity. And one way of doing that is by opening a browser like Google Chrome. And if you're able to browse successfully, then you're up and ready and good to go. And then if you then type the word YouTube, or as you are typing, the box will populate. And if you're doing it now, then you should see this video trending. If not, then in the YouTube search box, type DERVAN MALCOLM, and you too will be able to not just hear, but see what's happening in the studios of Power 106 FM. What's on your mind this afternoon? The lines are open to you, and we trust that this afternoon's attorney on duty on Land Solutions will have a little time to help us to get a better appreciation for some of these very same things that Attorney at Law Gloria Brown and Attorney at Law Calicia Findlay talk about every week. And we have seen it played out in Clifton and wherever else, a lot in the Bernard Lodge area, etc. And not for the first time. It's been like this in Jamaica for a very, very long time. So we hope our attorney on duty today will have just a little time, if not more, to touch on some of those salient matters. In the meantime, we welcome Rosemary Booth. She says, good afternoon from sunny Florida. Good afternoon, Rosemary Booth. Thank you very much for joining us here in sunny Jamaica. Norman Hines in St. Thomas says, good afternoon, Sir Dervan, Malcolm, and listeners. It's a sunny day here in St. Thomas. Well, enjoy the sun, Norman Hines. Chris in Toronto, Canada, reminds us that it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, he says. Yes, it's Thanksgiving time in Canada, but America's Thanksgiving activities are usually, I think, is it the third or the fourth Thursday? Either the third or the fourth Thursday in November. But here we are in October, and it's Thanksgiving time in Canada. Happy Thanksgiving to all the Canadians and Canadian Jamaicans and Jamaican Canadians and everybody in Canada. Trust you're having a safe, peaceful, and relaxing time, if that's possible for you, depending on your situation. Thank you very much for tuning in, and it's good to have you on board, and we look forward to your continued listenership and support. And so, as we like to do, and with just a few minutes before Land Solutions, let's bring you up to date, just in case you've been so busy that you have not been able to catch up with some of the stories trending in the news, in particular here in Jamaica, but naturally elsewhere in the world as well. And the news is not good. 4 people are in hospital and 1 is dead following a gun attack at a shop in Germantown, St. James on Sunday night. That's last night. The deceased has been identified as 21-year-old Garrett Leslie, otherwise called Hush, of Backwood in Germantown. The loss of any life is to be regretted, as we've always said and will always say on this program. Condolences. And how about Russia and Ukraine and what's unfolding and continuing? Russia unleashes biggest attacks in Ukraine in months. The Gleaner's website is telling us, as pulled from the Associated Press. The story is Russia retaliated today for what it claimed was a Ukrainian terrorist attack on a critical bridge by unleashing its biggest and most widespread attacks against Ukraine in months. The lethal barrage against multiple cities smashed civilian targets, knocking out power and water, shattering buildings, and killing at least 11 people. Ukraine's emergency service said 64 people were wounded in the morning rush hour attacks that Russia launched from the air, sea, and land against at least 14 regions spanning from Lviv in the west to Kharkiv in the east. Many of the attacks occurred far from the war's front lines. Though Russia said missiles targeted military and energy facilities, some struck civilian areas while people were heading to work and school. One hit a playground in downtown Kyiv, and another struck a university. So that struggle continues. La luta continua in between Russia and Ukraine. Also, 13 dead as Julia drenches Central America with rainfall. Clark to consider calls for CDF increase. Looks like the finance minister is considering calls for an increase in the Constituency Development Fund. Mental health training for more than 500 school professionals is also being reported by the Gleaner. Campbell calls for continued strengthening of OAS. I believe that's the State Minister in Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Leslie Campbell. Airbus, Air France face criminal trial over Paris Rio Paris crash. That's another of the stories that are trending right now. Hello to Sharon Richards. She says, "Blessed afternoon, Sir Malcolm, and all listeners out there. I greet you well as we all give thanks for life. Lots of blessings to you all. Same to you, Sharon Richards in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland. Thank you very much for tuning in. Good to have you on board here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaner's website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, and taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number. We didn't get around to acknowledging the works that contributed to the start of today's edition of Both Sides of the Story. We started with a poem entitled Our Heroes by Phoebe Carey. Phoebe is spelled Phoebe, Phoebe, Phoebe. So the poem we started with this afternoon, Our Heroes by Phoebe Carey. And we matched that with the sound of one of our talented artists, Rod Stewart. And here we are getting ready to hand over to the attorney on duty today on Land Solutions. And as we said, we trust with the permission of the team from Land Solutions that we're able to use this opportunity as a teachable moment after all that has unfolded and perhaps is still unfolding in the Bernard Lodge area of St. Catherine. So let's see if we can get the privilege of the expertise of one of our attorneys who will be doing duties this afternoon in that regard. So you can listen out and let's use it as a teachable moment. And perhaps just calling it straight as to how do we once and for all settle this ongoing contention, this never ending contention when it comes to land in this country. Let's hear after the break.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30.
Hello, miss. We just passed my road court test and I want to pay for my learners.
Hi, you can visit your nearest tax office to make the payment of $1,800.
So, hold on, we can't just pay for it here, sir.
No, sir. The Island Traffic Authority does not collect any form of payment for services at any of our depots.
I don't really have to go so far. You can't just do something for me.
All fees must be paid to Tax Administration Jamaica, so visit the nearest tax office to pay for the learners. The depots have no cashiers.
The Island Traffic Authority, an entity for road safety good. Importers, the Jamaica Customs Agency is reforming its clearance process, making it easier for you to clear your non-commercial and small value items using our simplified declarations. You will be able to clear your goods without physically visiting the port or a warehouse for customs inspection, making your clearance experience even better. The pilot begins October 2022 across all marine public bonded warehouses. For further details, email Jamaica Customs at contactlessclearance@jca.gov.jm or telephone 876-922-51408. We're here to serve you. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus. Tune in to Farm Talk every second and third Tuesday of each month at 6:18 a.m. for the feature Hyper Food Independence. Hyper Food Independence will focus on solutions for farmers.
Afternoon,
such as
Adrian. Who do we have?
animal husbandry, agronomy, and more.
Okay,
That's
thanks.
Hyper Food Independence every second and third Tuesday from 6:18 to 6:30 a.m. during Farm Talk, only on Power 106 FM. Hyper Food Independence is sponsored by Hypro.
It's a Monday afternoon, just after 2:30, and that means time for Land Solutions. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to deal with or to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions, which means you can send your text messages and your WhatsApp messages as well. That number is 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. The website is landsolutionsja.com. Landsolutionsja.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja. The email address is gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. The law firm Brown, Findley and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. You're encouraged to call ahead instead of just turning up at the offices of Brown, Findley and Company. The numbers to call the law firm Brown, Findley and Company: 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. That's 876-908-3518. As far as is concerned, you can call them directly as well. And that number is 876-974-6083. 876-974-6083. And remember, a lawyer is on duty every Thursday at the Ocho Rios offices of the law firm Brown, Findley and Company from 10 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. In a moment, let's say hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Attorney at Law, Gloria Brown.
Thank you, Dervan, and good afternoon. It's time again to Land Solution. And the word land. Land has really been in the news in recent times. And yesterday, the Jamaica Baptist Union Mission Agency hosted a very interesting lecture. It's the 19th, it was the 19th annual George Lyle lecture on Baptist and electoral politics, emancipation to crown colony government. And it was really an interesting lecture because it looked at land, how important land was, because it was speaking about really Baptist and their agitation in relation to the rights of persons to vote, to own land, etc. The presenter was Dr. Swidlin Wilmot, Dr. Wilmot, and it was hosted by Reverend Maria Laws, and an able host because she's the pastor of the Staggerville Baptist Church, and Staggerville is the first free village in Jamaica. And when I listened to the lecture, and I would wish persons would try to go on to the Jamaica Baptist Union YouTube page, and you will see the lecture, Dr. Wilmot, and the host being Reverend Maria Lord. Some very, very interesting things came out, and why it struck a chord in me is because of what has been happening in Portmore in relation to the Christian lands in Bernard Lodge. And what came to my mind is the old cliche, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Because when I listened to the lecture and listened to how Dr. Wilmot spoke about how the Baptist pastors, etc., lobbied and got the right to be elected to certain political positions so they could influence ownership. And when I looked and see how many of these Baptist pastors, many not being Jamaicans, many not being black, would have bought up large sugar plantations and subdivided them so that persons could get a piece of land. And not just to get the piece of land because for land's sake alone, but also because you could not vote unless you had a certain amount of land. So it's a long time now, land has really been eluding our people. And when you see how many of these Baptist missionaries, these Baptist pastors, how they went ahead and they got the land, they sold it at cheap rates, and then eventually what happened is that many of these persons eventually they lost some of these lands because the government made it so expensive for persons to pay property taxes so that they would lose the land, because the aim was for the average Jamaican to stay on the plantation. When you own land, you're not going to want to stay on plantation. You want to become businessman and start looking about. So this what we are having in relation to land and the issues now, it's not new. It's not new. And when I listen to a lot of the persons, not a lot of the persons, so a couple of the persons speaking, how they went and bought this land. And I've said on this program a lot of times that many of the persons who we see as squatters, they just need a chance, give them the opportunity, and they will buy the little piece of land. They will sell everything. They will not even eat properly just to get a piece of land. So accessibility is one of the biggest problems. How can persons get land, and not just marginal land? How can persons get land that they can exist on? And when you listen to some of these persons, most of them bought the land genuinely thinking that the person selling to them had the right to sell, which is supporting the point I'm saying that Jamaicans given a chance will buy. They just need to have something that they can afford. And sometimes they can't even afford, but they throw the partner and they beg the relatives abroad and they go without, just to have a little place where they can put up something. And we see it a lot of time. We see where you just tell somebody a housing start, and before you look out, person buy a quad, and before you look around, there are mansions. We just need an opportunity, and we need to have this land conversation. And as a church, we need to have it as church too, because a lot of times we knock the government, but we are really some of the big landowners too, us as church persons, the denominations. So we really need to revisit this thing, because when you look and see what took place, your heart would grieve for a lot of these persons. And I looked at some of the places that Dr. Wilmot spoke about, that the Baptist missionaries would have gone and set up free villages and cut up land so ordinary Jamaicans could have owned a piece. And there were places like Sandy Bay and Mount Herop in Hanover, Maidstone, Nazareth, Vale Lionel near renamed Porus, Manchester, Boston, and Harmony in St. Anne, Sligo Vale and Kingston Town, St. Catherine, Goodwill, Bethel Town and Maldon, St. James, Kettering, Albert Town, Timon, Patience, Trelawney. So those were free villages that these Baptist pastors, many of them not well, most of them coming out of England, some out of America, would have set up. And what they did, these large pieces of land that were not in use, 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, depending on what persons could afford. And they would sell them, not just, as I said, not just alone, not just in order for them to just own land. That was a part of it, and that was instrumental. But also, it enabled these persons to have the right to vote, and they could vote for these pastors to become their representative, to give them some better representation. So the land situation, as I said before, is not new. And I was looking at an article by Jimmy Tindigaro Kayo, and he said that squatting is defined as the illegal occupation and use of land and or buildings. And he said that squatting is not new to Jamaica. The country has a long history of squatting, dated as far back as the emancipation period in the 19th century. Following the abolition of slavery in 1884, the landless former slaves acquired legal holdings not only from vacant crown land, but also from lands abandoned by planters due to a shortage of farm labor, because a lot of the planters had to abandon their farms because when slavery was abolished, emancipation was over, a lot of the ex-slaves decided that they were not going to be working anymore on plantations. So therefore, a lot of these plantation owners decided that they're not going to pay people properly for the labor, so they had to abandon these large expanses of land. So a lot of them were squatted on. And I've said it time and again that sometimes we see persons with some massive holdings of land and some families, and we say, we say how they are ambitious and how they are hardworking and how they acquire that and people can't. A lot of them just got it like that. They were given land as an incentive to come to Jamaica, and Jamaicans after are benefiting from that. But they let off hundreds of thousands of slaves on the plantation. And a gentleman loves to call this program to ask me if all the land in Jamaica is not owned by the Queen. No, you have to say they're owned by the King. So all the land, all the entire island was owned by the Crown, and it's still owned by the Crown, really. So when anywhere these persons who came off the plantation, anywhere they went to occupy, they were squatters. And the situation continues to haunt us, because the average Jamaican cannot get a little piece. And sometimes we call on this program and I will say that persons, I beg of you, don't just go and buy land like that. And then I will always put the proviso, it's easy for me to talk. It's easy for me to talk and to say that because I'm in a privileged position. Okay? But the average person cannot even buy the smallest piece. And sometimes even the parish council, sometimes I get upset with the local authorities. We call them municipal corporations now. Because you apply to subdivide and they will tell you, we're not going to allow persons to get title for 1 square of land, which is 1/10 of an acre. When they need to buy 2.5, but the first thing who told you that the person they buy it from is selling 2.5 squares. And who tell you that the person can afford that? So we need to look at some other countries. Some countries that we say we want to be like. And we look at them and we put them up as models. They don't have these Rolls Royce kind of demands on persons that we have, where we're saying, you need to have 1/4 acre, you need to have a 40-foot road and fire hydrant and turning circle. A lot of these countries that we are putting up as models, half a square of land they will allow. We just need to the government just need to put in infrastructure to look at some other things, but we have to have this land conversation. It don't make sense that we have a donkey cart engine with a beautiful Rolls Royce body, and that's what we're having. We want to put in all these great rules and say person must have this and person must put this in place, when the reality is that we don't have what to maintain it. You're telling a man that he needs to go and get subdivision and put in all of this, and the man has been living on the land for 40 years. And that is one of the things that the Special Provisions Act of 2005 did. It allowed somebody to waive off some of these onerous conditions and allow the average man to get a title. And I'm going to reinforce some of the things that I've been saying on this program over time to encourage persons not to get into a situation like what happened in Bernard Lodge. But as I said, persons are desperate. One person I listened to a lady saying she spent $800,000 buying a piece of land. Nobody would spend that if they realized or if they knew that what they were going after was not legit. And sometimes it's easy for us to be able to blame persons and to point the finger and to victimize the victim. But we'll continue with that. This is Land Solution.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45. Sipa copper.
Sipa copper?
Yes, Sipa copper.
Sipa copper what?
Sipa copper Ital Jamaican Moringa tea bags. Sipa copper Moringa, turmeric, vervine, neem, and guinea hen wheat tea bags today. Sipa copper tea is available in supermarkets island-wide. So Sipa copper today. You'll be happy you did. Distributed by Pyramid Group Limited.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land. You've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line for Land Solutions is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send your text messages, but also your WhatsApp messages. And that number is 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. The email address is gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja, facebook.com/landsolutionsja. The website is landsolutionsja.com, landsolutionsja.com. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office upstairs, Shop 6, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. You're encouraged to call ahead instead of just turning up. In fact, those of you who are closer to Ocho Rios and would prefer to be in touch with the Ocho Rios offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, you have that option as well. That number is 876-974-6083, 876-974-6083. And let's remember that a lawyer is on duty at the Ocho Rios offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Every Thursday from 10 to 1. But remember to call ahead and make the necessary preparations so you know exactly what you will need and so on and so forth. And those numbers for the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. And Ms. Brown, we do have a message for you. Someone is asking a question. Right. And the person says, hello, Dervan, can you please find out if someone builds on my land, can I tear down their structures without going to the courts? That's question number one.
Yes.
And number two is there such a case as self-help to get off people off property without the courts?
No, Dervan, it's not advisable. Always go to court. Because as I've always said to persons, even when persons are in your house and you have given them notice and they don't come out, go to court. Because when you go to that court, when you go into that house and take and throw the person's things out, you're going to hear about $1 million they had in the dresser drawer. So do nothing. Even squatters have a right. So don't go and take somebody off your land without getting an order from the court. And you don't even need a lawyer to go to court on a matter like that unless the person has an adverse claim. They have been there long enough and you feel it might be. But you can just, if the person is on your land for 2, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, you can just go to the court's office and get the documents prepared for recovery of possession. So it's best to go with a lawyer, of course, but if you can't afford, don't make that dissuade you. But do not just go and cut down people's things that they have planted on your land, or don't just go and just get a bulldozer to bulldoze. Follow the due process. Follow the process.
Mm-hmm.
And the self-help is ready to help yourself and go to court.
Mm-hmm. Got
Thank
you.
Dervan.
Sure, thank you too.
So as I said earlier, even the squatters will have a right, so be very, very careful. And as we said, squatting is not going to go away right now. The article I was looking on earlier by Jimmy Tindigarukayo, what he said is that the Jamaican government has pursued a policy that has favored urban development at the expense of rural areas. Okay, so what he's saying is that governments, they spend all the money. We see that Kingston is Jamaica. And maybe Montego Bay might be a little part of Jamaica too, but the rural areas, they are neglected. All the monies, all the schools, you look at even a bus service like JUTC, where children in Kingston are able to just pay a small amount of funds and children running after taxis, which every now and then decide that the roads are too bad and they block the road and children can't go to school, missing exams, etc. So because the governments have always treated the urban areas with greater preference, better schooling, better transportation, better facilities. People tend to want to leave the rural areas, the country areas, to come to town. Don't have enough housing, so you see a little place, a little gully bank, you set up something. And then before you look around, nappies on the line, people don't wear nappies again, diapers, baby clothes, and then a family expands and they are on the gully. Or you see a little fringe piece of land and one person starts to put up something and test the waters and before you look around. So the policy of not really investing in rural areas encourage persons to want to squat. We see it in the tourist areas. You put up these big hotels and persons, and these hotels are employing hundreds of persons, but you have made no provision for those persons to live. So beside all of these big townships, we have the hotels, the Montego Bay, the Old Rios, you're going to have squatter settlements because persons need to live in close proximity. So we have not addressed the housing problem. Because when you are going to say, hey, we are going to be doing some low-income houses and you're talking about 12 million, the average Jamaican can't afford that. Housing trust alone is giving 6 point something, and most persons won't even qualify for the maximum. So that's another thing. We also lack, so the gentleman is also saying that we lack a strong peasant tradition. So we don't, even when you're talking about the small farmers in, for example, Cyberville, they're just eking out an existence, waiting on the yam to bear maybe 9 months. What they do in that period, they have to find money to buy rice and flour and chicken.
Yes.
So even the little land that persons have in the rural areas, not enough to sustain a family.
Sorry, Ms. Brown, a follow-up question from the listener who messaged us on WhatsApp asking, what if they just started to build? Whoever is building on your property, if they just started.
I would just tell you to just get a lawyer to get an injunction from the court to stop the person. But that's what I'm saying now. I forgot the client called me. I'm going to have to just send me the person's number, Dervan.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
But I always encourage try the court first.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, Dervan.
Sure.
So we're saying the government will spend most money in the urban areas, the town areas, so the rural people will always try to come to town so the children can get better schooling. That's where the universities are, that's where most of the jobs are. Can't afford rent, so we're going to become squatters. Also, the living in the country a lot of times, the little existence, selling the things, going to the market with it, etc., not enough to sustain the family. And the majority of the poor Jamaicans are found in the rural areas. So therefore they're going to want to come to town to see if they can find something. Because we hear that in town you can get a little job here and there, you can get it at wholesale, in a supermarket, while in the country there's hardly anything. And we know the young people don't want to farm these place. The call centers are in town and all of that. So we're always going to have squatting because we're not going to. I don't see when we're going to be able to provide enough housing. Look at it. We're putting out, when you look at it, let's use the GSAT as a guide. So, for example, you have about nearly 40,000 children doing GSAT.
Yes.
Which means that you have about 40,000 or near to 40,000 children doing PEP is a new name. You have about 40,000 graduating or reaching the age 25 or whatever age it is that we need to want to start making our own nest. We can't provide that number of housing. So we're going to have a problem. And we are seeing it as well in the conflict in families. That's another part of the whole of the face of the whole problem,
Yes.
It's not just the squatting. It's also the families fighting over the scarce resources. Because when grandfather died, he died leaving 10 acres fine, but then he died leaving 12 children. These 12 children, many of them have passed on, and there are 50-odd grandchildren now. Some have passed on, and there are maybe 30-odd great-grandchildren. There is a problem. Who is going to occupy? Who is going to own this piece of family land? Who is going to live on it? So we really need to have this land conversation, government, church, all the different agencies, the different stakeholders in society. We need to have this conversation. And this land needs to be on the syllabus of even the high schools, land ownership, land holding. Because we have said on this program so many times, Khaleesi has said it, I have said it, when you are buying land, get a lawyer. But sometimes the lawyer fees more than what you're buying a little piece of land for. That's a part of the challenge, but I encourage persons, especially, and again, it's the town people who have the advantage, because I keep saying to persons, there's a legal aid clinic at the Bethel Baptist Church, but again, it's in halfway tree in Kingston. $100 to see a lawyer, yes, every Saturday between 10 and 12, you can go to the Bethel Baptist Church. But then it's in halfway tree Kingston, again, same thing I'm saying, all the benefits for the urban people. But we need to look at this conversation, because if you have any heart, any Christian charity, and a lot of times many of us want to say squatters must get what they deserve, But we need to recognize that, but for the grace of God, many of us would be squatters. Many of us got a little privilege, got the opportunity to get a good education, and that is why we are not squatters and we have been able to buy something. But many persons have not had that opportunity. Many persons have not had that privilege. But I'm still saying to persons, before you give persons your money, get legal advice. You can't have somebody come in and say, hey, I'm the owner of this piece of land, and you give them 800,000 because they asked you for your ID and your CRN. And that makes it look legitimate. I said before, many people selling land they don't own. They are the first boy, the last boy, the only one alive, the one mama died and gave the title to. Those things will not make persons have the right to sell. When you are buying land, make sure the person who is selling it to you is the owner. It's not enough to say I grew up in Cyber and I always know that is Master John land. So when you're selling it to me, I know it's Master. Let Master John show you the documentation. Master and brothers' children might just come forward to say, hey, where's our share? So I'm saying to persons out there, I'm saying to my brothers and sisters out there, I beg of you. And many lawyers will even talk to you, just would even, and we have a program like this, like Land Solutions, going on for so many years, begging persons, be careful, be careful. In 2011, we have been going on. We are going 11 years, begging persons to be careful how you buy. Because when I saw those investments, it didn't take a day to put up some of those structures. And many persons are going to walk away with nothing. Be careful what you spend your money on. If it looks too good to be true, more than likely it's too good to be true. If you are getting a big piece of land, a nice piece of land for 800,000, ask yourself the question. Another thing, persons selling land, you can't just go and buy a piece like that. It has to go through the parish council and be subdivided and get permission to cut it. If you have bought it long ago and it hasn't been cut, we can sort that for you. So if you have the piece of land for more than 7 years and the title doesn't say it's not to be subdivided, we can help you. But please, don't just go ahead and start giving persons your money. After the break, I'm going to ask persons to give us a call, give me a call, 908-1950. I'm sorry, that's my office number. The number to call if you want to speak to me on the program now is 922-411-325. 922-411-325. And remember, you can send me a WhatsApp message, 387-3183. 387-3183. I'm Gloria Brown, and this is Land Solution.
Coast to Coast Concrete, the high quality concrete for fencing, roofing, foundation, and road surfacing. Call 876-754-7472. The time by Coast to Coast Concrete is
3 o'clock. The Caribbean Maritime University, an ISO certified institution, offers Bachelor of Science degrees in cruise shipping, Bachelor of Engineering degrees, logistics, marine tourism, port management, security administration and management, and more. For further information, call 876-924-8150, 876-924-8175, or email info@cmu.edu.jm.
Tune in to Farm Talk every second and 19 a.m. for the feature Hyper Food Independence. Food Independence will focus on solutions for farmers, such as land, animal husbandry, agronomy, and more. That's Hyper Food Independence every second and third Tuesday from 6:18 to 6:30 a.m. during Farm Talk, only on Power 106 FM. Hyper Food Independence is sponsored by Hypro.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions. It's 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. The website is landsolutionsja.com. Landsolutionsja.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja. Facebook.com/landsolutionsja. If you wish to get in touch with the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, they're headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. You're encouraged to call ahead instead of just turning up. The numbers to call the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company: 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. Remember, there's a lawyer on duty every Thursday between 10 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon for those who will be visiting the Ocho Rios offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company. So lawyers on duty every Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Once again, here's Attorney at Law Gloria Brown, and a quick one for you, Ms. Brown. I'm just asking in general terms, if I own a piece of land, is it left up to me to do whatever I want to do with the piece of land? Am I free to build a house or houses on it? Am I free to engage in commercial activity on the land? Am I free to do those and other things on the land? Does it matter?
It does matter, Dervan, because we have something called zoning. So you have certain places that are zoned for residential. For example, you couldn't go and put up a shop in your house in Mona, because when you look at some titles, it says this property is to be used for residential purposes only. So you depend on what the area is zoned for. Oh. So you need to check the local authority and look at your title as well.
Got you. Thank you.
Okay, Dervan. And just to follow up on what Dervan just asked, when you look at some, because I was looking at a title today where a person has put up 3 houses on a piece of property. But there's a condition on the title that states that only one dwelling house must be put on the property. It also says that the house is to face the roadway. These three houses are not facing the roadway. So those are some of the things that, so when you are building, make sure that your builder looks at your title. Make sure when you are building that a building plan is drawn and is sent to the local authority. So you're in Portmore, you send to the Portmore Municipal Corporation, St. Catherine used to be parish council, now we call them municipal corporation. You need to get approval before you build. But we know that we're a country that's really is well nigh, as Rex Netford said some years ago, ungovernable. So we just do our own thing. So our neighbor has put up a house and it is bigger than the lot. So if the neighbor has put up one bigger than the lot, why shouldn't I put up one 2 times the size of the lot? So when rainfall, my water is running off my roof onto all the neighbors because the house is so big. And those are the things. And then the local authority will come down on you a little later on and say that you never got permission. But where were they when you were building? Where are all these persons in these municipal corporations who are being paid in the planning sections, who are being paid to see what is happening out there? Where are all these persons who are being paid the 20th of every month?
Sorry.
Something has to give in this country, like it's just too lawless. You just have to look on the road and look at how the driving is.
Yes. Ms. Brown, I just want to do a follow-up. The question of the state or the crown demolishing or taking action against citizens of this country based on a breach, or what the state says is a breach in the actions of whoever owns the property. Is the state exempt or above scrutiny in that regard?
Not at all, Dervan. Not at all. And one of the things that I don't know who is the owner. For example, let's just look at the Portmore one.
Yes.
I don't know who is the owner of the property, if it's really the commission of land, if it's really state land, or what you call crown land. That's something that's going to turn on.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to follow the due process. I suspect they are saying that the person's got notice and they took it to court before. I'm not sure what they are saying. But the same rule should apply to everybody and apply to everybody.
So the notice isn't good enough?
No, the notice is not good enough for the private man, and I don't think it is good enough for the government.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, because...
so we will see where that turns and what happens on that, Dervan.
Okay.
But usually, well, I won't say about that with Trigger because I noticed that seems to be the trend, give notice by the Commission of Lands. Maybe they might have special provision in their laws, Dervan.
Right, because there's a...
But the average man can't.
Right, because there's a document that was apparently published earlier this year with respect to those lands, the 1st of March this year.
Yes, I mean, they have a crown vesting act which gives certain authority. I need to look at that, Dervan.
Okay.
And look a little bit more on that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
But it really is unfortunate.
Yes.
Okay, yes, Dervan, thank you. And I said before, even for the government agencies, the government has, I remember some years ago, we tried to do an audit of government lands, and we were into thousands and thousands. So many properties were identified of government land that no agency realized was owned by the government. So the government doesn't have any control of their lands, really, because when persons should go and build, and some persons are saying, we are on this for 30 odd years, so many years, we are the people who should be policing these properties. We are the local authorities who should know, say, hey, persons are building on this land, we need to stop them before they spend so much more money. Mm-hmm. We know as Jamaicans, sometimes you pass the land and nothing is there, and tomorrow you look, it's like American houses, you pass a piece of land, and today and tomorrow you see a most beautiful, expensive house on it. We are like that too. We build overnight, especially when we see it, when we're not so sure about it. But this is something to say to us as Jamaicans. Do not spend your money on building houses or building anything on land that you do not have proper documentation for. I see a lot of that with the lease land as well. Persons lease people land, and before you look around, persons they lease it and they say, oh, we are told that you can't put up a permanent structure. And I've seen it with clients. And before you look around, there are persons telling you, say, oh, you expect me to live in board house. And they're putting up concrete, even though it's leased land. And then when you ask them to demolish, you're going to hear another story. Easy for me to talk, as I said before, but I'm encouraging my fellow Jamaicans to not spend money you don't have to build on land that is not your own. And to say government and all the persons who have these properties, we have to have this conversation. How are we going to get land in the hands of the landless? How are we going to reduce some of these onerous requirements that we have? And for example, a situation, a father has died and left property for 3 children. They have their houses on it. Is that for me, Dervan?
Sorry, yes, I didn't want to cut you in mid-sentence, but
It's okay, Dervan.
there's a message that came through. Hi, Dervan. I have a property in Jamaica, and I'm considering building a store at the back. Can that be done? If yes, what size? Thanks.
Well, the first thing I would say to you, I can't tell you the size. I don't know the size of the land, etc. Speak to your architect or make sure that the plans are drawn, sent to the parish council so they can give their approval. Because a lot of people live in rural, there's no law governing them. So you live in countries where I can just go build my house. Get the permission, let the parish council give you the guidance. You don't put up something that you're running into problems with later.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at this situation where a father died, left property for 3 children. The children have their houses on it now. Each person wants to get a title. And the parish council is telling them they have been living there, they drive, they can get to their house. The parish council is saying we need 40-foot road, we need turning circle, we need fire hydrants, things like those. And some years ago, the law was passed that persons in such situations should be able to get their titles with a condition on the title to say the parish council is not responsible for the infrastructure development. For development of the infrastructure. Put those on the title, but let people get their title so they can go and get the money to improve the house. To put in even the road you're saying. So many persons the system is just too difficult because of that persons will always jump the fence. It's too hard to go through the gate. The persons who are trying to use the process, it's too difficult. And this is something that the person needs to look at. It is so difficult for the average Jamaican to get a piece of land. And if we don't change these things, a lot of these things are breeding the criminality because persons are living in some conditions that their children are being influenced by some persons because too many persons live in the yard, too many persons are caught up beside each other. So our children are being influenced the wrong way. We can't improve our lot, so we can't get a little money to send the boy to university or to send the boy to get a good trade to go to one of these good auto mechanic schools so the boy go and join gang. A lot of the things are related. Let us make the system easier, especially for those who do not want to break the rules. When the system is difficult, you have a lot of corruption and people will break the rules.
Just a quick correction, Ms. Brown. The person said she didn't mean store. She meant storeroom. In terms of building a storeroom at the back, and where she had store, she says, "I have a property in Jamaica and I'm considering building a storeroom." That's what she meant at the back, and she wanted to know if that could be done, and if yes, what size.
Well, you need to look at your title because a lot of times persons might say, okay, for example, I'm in Fort I'm going to build a storeroom, but I build it onto the back of the wall. But the condition on the title says no building has to be less than 5 feet. So I need to leave a 5-foot distance. So I have to put the person's title. I need to know where the property is before I can give the guidance.
And there's another matter that has been brought to my attention. There's a particular area in it's west rural St. Andrew, where there are properties that are being cited, like the average citizen citing properties which are encroaching on the very road itself that runs through the community. And the question is, who supervises these developments? What?
Nobody there. When you go to the local, you go to the KCC now, and they might oblige you and write a letter, but nobody follows up.
Okay.
We are lawless.
Wow.
Yes, and might is right.
Because there is I would imagine there is a standard as to how close to the road and
Yes.
and so on.
Yes, Winston, there is. I'm sorry. Yes, Dervan, there is. There is a standard, but who is enforcing? Who cares?
Yeah, good questions. One moment, Miss Brown. We need to take the break and come back.
Yes, sir.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15.
Importers, the Jamaica Customs Agency is reforming its clearance process, making it easier for you to clear your non-commercial and small value items using our simplified declarations. You will be able to clear your goods without physically visiting the port or a warehouse for customs inspection, making your clearance experience even better. The pilot begins October 2022 across all marine public bonded warehouses. For further details, email Jamaica Customs at contactlessclearance@jca.gov.jm or telephone 876-922-5140 We're here to serve you. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
The Issa Manning Cup schoolboy football competition is in full swing, and Power Play will bring you live reports and updates on the football matches. Listen to every Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM. Live reports will be brought to you by Chada Distributors Limited, KFC, and Ellis Duane and Company Limited.
It's a final segment of Land Solutions for today, Monday, the 10th of October, 2022. Attorney at law Gloria Brown has been covering quite a range of matters, as usual, to do with the sale or purchase of land and related matters. And if you have questions, feel free to call 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions, 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. The website is landsolutionsja.com. The email address is gloria@landsolutionsja.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. You're encouraged to call the offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company instead of just turning up. The numbers to call, 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. Remember as well, a lawyer is on duty every Thursday at the Ocho Rios offices of the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, every Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. All right. So, Ms. Brown, back to you if you had something else to say on this subject of those who are encroaching, for example, on public spaces with their private buildings.
Yes, Winston, because I've seen a lot of those, and sometimes you might say why I always speak of Portmore, but I've seen a lot of those situations, and many times the municipal corporation will say to you, you need to hit down that side of the house. I've seen it time and time again. So don't feel that you're going to encroach on the road and going to get a fly. It doesn't really work.
So there is a remedy.
There's a remedy. Yes, there's a remedy, Winston, but it's just that a lot of corruption and a lot of persons who are really not doing their jobs.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you want to sell that house and you might find you can never sell it. You'll never be able to get a loan.
Because of the encroachment,
because of
the breach.
Yes, yes, Dervan, we're going to buy it with that breach. Only somebody is a cash purchaser, we're not going to borrow, but no bank is going to allow anybody to borrow money on that. They won't even take an undertaking to correct it.
Oh, wow. We still have a lot of work to do in this country.
A lot of work. a lot of work. We really need to be I know a lot of times, and a lot of the squatting is encouraged by politicians because in a lot of these squatting areas, you have a lot of votes.
Yeah.
But we have to put our feet down, Winston. Sorry, Dervan. Why am I calling you Winston, Dervan? Because of another space I operate in.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm encouraging persons, Dervan, and I'm encouraging municipal corporations. You know, to building officers to see what is happening. Let them go. A lot of them are traveling officers who are not traveling anywhere.
Yes, and do they have the resources? I don't know. That's another thing.
And another thing, Dervan, they get a monthly traveling allowance, so they need to travel.
Oh.
And it's your motor vehicle. A lot of the government officers are traveling.
I see.
And you get a mileage, how many miles you. Most of the government upkeep now is about 80,000 a month. So persons need to do their work.
Yeah. So
and because you have satellites out there and you can even stay in your office and see what's happening.
So these people need to be held accountable then.
They need to. They need to. I mean, we need to use some more drone technology and so on to see what's happening. But persons must be held accountable.
Yes.
Nobody saw these people putting up these houses in Bernard Lodge.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if there aren't people who are complicit in some of these things.
Wonder who was selling the lot.
Oh,
another story for another time.
Indeed. So yes. Go ahead. Over to you once again.
All right, Dervan, thank you.
Yes.
So I'm just encouraging Jamaicans. I'm encouraging my brothers and sisters. Do not let anybody trick you out of your money, because for an average Jamaican to put away 800,000, and that maybe is just what she's counting, what she can account for, because the many trips she has taken there when she's building, she has even counted those trips that she has had to take taxi to go there and all of that. It's a little hard. It's a little difficult. And my mother always tell me to try not to let people I water on you, you know. And a lot of us, we really have to treat each other better. Yeah. You can't have the poor robbing the poor. It's just so unreasonable. But I'm begging persons, do not be careful how you spend your money, especially a lot of persons out there who listen to these programs out there, not in Jamaica, who listen to Land Solutions. Do not send your money to your relatives to buy land like that. Get a lawyer. And get a lawyer. Don't get the lawyer for the person who is selling. Get your own attorney who will be able to deal with the matter. For you represent you, make sure the person, because if these persons had used lawyers, the lawyers would have said to the persons who are selling, may I see your title, may I see your proof of ownership. Let me see the subdivision that you have permission to cut this land. But a lot of times persons really suspect that something is wrong, but they're just hoping for the best.
Yes.
So I'm encouraging us. It's a tough lesson. And it's a lesson to persons otherwise. First time when I was growing up and persons on land that is not there. Persons will put what they call a chattel house. A house that you can move, a house that you can take up. But no, everybody trying to squatting on land and we want to have a mansion. We want to have a mansion. I've seen persons with squatting on land coming to ask to get a title and the valuation showing 40 million. Why would you spend 40 million on a property that's not yours?
Another message coming in for you, Ms. Brown.
Yes, Dervan.
Good afternoon to you and Ms. Brown. Please ask Ms. Brown if there is a right time to give notice to a tenant.
There is no right time. You can give the notice anytime, but you have to give the notice for it to run at least a month after the rent, during the rental period. So for example, the rent is due the 25th of every month. And you're going to give, today is the 11th, and you're going to give notice today. This month is already over. So I would say to a person like that, give the person notice to leave by the 25th of, this is October, the 25th of November. So make sure you have one clear month of the rental period. So make sure the person gets a notice. You're going to give the person a notice between now and the 24th to say you need to vacate by the 25th of November because it's too late already to ask for the 25th of October. But you can give the person notice at any time. Of course, again, it depends on what the rental agreement says. Because the rental agreement might say you can't give notice unless there's some breach, etc. But if it just says you can give notice, 30 days notice, etc., then you're free to give notice at any time. But there are certain reasons that you have to give for notice. The property is required for your own use. Rent is due and owing. The property needs to be repaired. You can't give a notice I don't like the tenant. Okay, so there are certain reasons or the notice is not going to be valid. You need it for your own use. It needs to be repaired. Or rent is due and owing and continuing for more than the month that is due. And so that the notice forms at the bookstore, they are very user-friendly. That's why I said you can buy the will form and it guides you. The notice form really gives guidance as well. Thanks for that one, Dervan. So I'm encouraging my listeners. Land Solutions has been on Talita and I have been preaching for a long time and begging my listeners to just make sure that you don't go and spend your money in vain. But even if I pay taxes for a property and then someone else do a survey, what do I do? Neither paying the taxes or doing the survey will make any use the owner who is occupying the land. And this is something I need Jamaicans to get out of their heads. Dervan, I don't know if you could close the line for me. There's an echo.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. It's something I need Jamaicans to get out of their heads and paying the taxes. That is not going to give you any right to ownership, paying the taxes. So you pay the taxes for 50 years and somebody else is living on the land. After 12 years, if it's not government land, the person can own it. Remember, squatters' rights for government land is 50 years. 60 years. While for private land is 12 years. So I occupy the land, you are paying the taxes. I am the owner after 12 years. Paying the taxes will not make us owner. And as Jamaicans need to get this thing out of their heads. I see persons will come and say, I'm living a place in Kitchener, I've been paying the tax for 15, 20 years. And I say, but how many persons? But it's 20 of them squatting on the property in this yard in Kingston, but one paying the taxes. And this one sees that will give them the right to own the land. No, it's going to be owned by all 20 of you, even though you are the only one paying the taxes. Paying taxes cannot make you own property. Suppose I stop paying taxes for my house and you decide you're going to pay taxes for the next 30, 40 years for my house. Do you think you can own the house? Let us use things like these to realize. And look at controlling our property, taking charge of like what we're saying to the government. Take charge of your property so squatters don't take it over. Say the same thing I'm saying to the average Jamaican. Take charge of your family, of your property. The family land your grandparents have died and left. Take charge of it. Don't just stay abroad and say I'm paying the taxes. And by the time you come back here 15, 20 years time, you see a mansion on it. The man with the mansion on it has had it there for 12 years. He's now the owner. Because it's squatters' rights. It's just as I said, for government land you need 60 years for the squatters' rights, while private land is 12. 12 years will pass quickly. Take charge of your property. If you don't have any use for it, sell it. We do not allow squatters to take it over. What am I saying to my listeners this afternoon? I'm saying let us learn from the mistake of others. Let us not just allow somebody to come and say, I'm selling land and we just go and buy it. I say all the time, land is not cake where you go and say, sell me a slice. It's not like that. We have, as a country, we need to realize that we have rules, we have regulations, we have laws. We need to allow, we need to make sure that we are in the know. A lot of us and a lot of the older people who listen to this program, please let your grandchildren listen as well. Let them get the knowledge. It's not enough for them to just listen to music, or some persons are so heavenly minded that they only listen to gospel programs. Which things, okay, we need wisdom so we don't perish. Without knowledge, the people perish. We need knowledge, we need information. We can't have generations after generations continuing to be ignorant. So I'm encouraging listeners, let us use this as a teaching moment, what has happened in Portmore. Everybody on a piece of land, take the information, survey it today. All right, and just send a text message. My text line, my WhatsApp line is 387-3183. 387-3183. Gloria Brown, just send me a message and just say title. That's all you have to say if you want me to help you with a title. Just send me a WhatsApp message, TITLE, just type. You don't have to spell it right. Just send me a message, title, and I will give you some guidance. Use this to say whatever land I'm on. Let me look at my situation now. Let me try to sort out my title. Thank you so much, Dervan. And thank you, Adrian. And thanks to all the listeners who continue to support Land Solutions. Look forward to being with you again next week. I'm Gloria Brown. This has been Land Solutions. Send me a message, please. 387-3183. Thank you.
Protecting Jamaica's borders from illicit imports and exports is a key priority. Customs Agency. The JCA will remain vigilant and resolute in effectively fulfilling this mandate. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
3:13. Listen to your favorite programs live on the Power 106 FM app. You can download the app on Google Play Store and the App Store. Can't catch your favorite show live? Then listen to your show on our podcast library, wherever you are, whenever you wish. Power 106 FM, the digital sound, where all views can contend. Now online via the Power 106 FM app.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story. Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. We crave your indulgence as we feature the work of the St. Catherine South Police Division, the Waterford Police District, their police youth club, and they're on a drive to encourage young people to sign up. And the communities of note: Waterford, Passage Fort, Portsmouth, Independence City, and Westchester, for youngsters 13 to 25. And the message is a word of encouragement for you to be a part of a phenomenal social and professional transformation through the delivery of leadership, mentorship, and positive goal-oriented transitions. And then there's also the St. Catherine South Police Division, Waterford Police District, Do It Right the First Time, presenting youth talent for transformation through the arts. And this will take place at Portmore Mall. The first audition is Saturday, the 22nd of October at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's free. And they're calling all singers, dancers, dub poets, disc jocks, bloggers, actors, and must be 18 to 29 years old. First prize place for artist, a contract with Friends for Real Studio, which includes a single and a music video. First prize place for dancer, a feature in a mega local music video. And first place for dub poetry, studio time, and music video. So they urge the young people not to stall, but to come out, one and all, at Portmore Mall. So they're rhyming as well. Right, so we're just trying to connect with the team from the Superintendent Christopher Phillips, Senior Superintendent of Police for the St. Catherine South Police Division, is scheduled to join us. So too, Detective Inspector of Police and Sub-Officer in charge of Waterford Police Station, Pilmar Powell. And we'll hear as well from Fire Royal Records a little later on. But first, let's say good afternoon and welcome to Senior Superintendent of Police for the St. Catherine South Division, Mr. Christopher Phillips. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us here on both sides of the story, Poro 106 FM. We'd also like to welcome Detective Inspector of Police and Sub-Officer in charge of Waterford Police Station, Pilmar Powell. Welcome, Ms. Powell.
Thank you for having me this afternoon.
Pleasure to have you on board. And we're going to hear more a little later on in terms of the music side of the business. But right now, just to get an idea, please, Senior Superintendent Phillips, of the area you have responsibility for, the St. Catherine South Police Division. How would you characterize the division?
St. Catherine South Division covers the General Portmore Municipality, the Central Village area, Old Harbour Bay as a subdivision. So I'm in charge of that entire stretch. A pretty challenging division. We would say multiple issues to deal with, but I do have a strong team in St. Catherine South, and we are, doing the best we can.
Yes. And Pilmar Powell, how would you characterize the state of the police youth clubs within your area?
They are quite active. However, we need to do more in regards to the youth club. We need to do more with engagement and fostering that relation between the police and the youth.
Yes. And it looks like you are identifying certain initiatives that can help in that regard. You want to start by giving us an idea of what it takes and what is expected of those who are looking to join the police youth club, for example?
Police youth club is open to youth starting from the ages of 12, 13. It goes up to the age of even 25 years of age. And most of these young men and women, they also have within their mind to be a police officer, if not even a police officer, even a part of the Jamaica Defense Force as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it is also used as a channel for achievements and opportunities wherein discipline is concerned.
Yes.
Because some parents are of the view that if they get their children involved in this type of community activity, it will help to mold their image.
Yes.
So having a police youth club, it is a good incentive for youth coming up.
Yes. And the Senior Superintendent Phillips, in terms of the outreach, for example, this youth talent for transformation through the arts program, how is the division hoping that this kind of youth engagement will impact the general attitudes of the youngsters in relation to the police?
Right. One other thing I want to say is that oftentimes, when we try to engage with our youth with a different program, they're not readily, warm to some of the programs that we have. Even the police youth club, whilst it's one of our flagship programs, what we seek to create is multiple options for our youngsters to be able to participate. We have to find creative, innovative ways to attract them, to get them on board. And of course,
it just occurred to me, I don't have any contact for the third person. I don't have a name.
That we believe we can assist some of these youngsters, most of them are very much
That's
enticed
a,
by
that's a person.
music, dancing,
That's a
and
person.
generally the arts. And so we think
Okay.
this will help us to build that kind of a relationship. It's not just a one-off event, but thereafter we'll seek to maintain a kind of relationship where we help in their development, mentorship, and really building the trust between citizens and the police.
Yes. And sorry about that. And just a slight break, but we're back. Thank you very much for your thoughts on this subject, SSP. But back to Detective Inspector Pilmar Powell. In terms of this youth talent for transformation through the arts program, is this just a one-off thing that you're doing now, or is there a plan to go well beyond the moment? Did we lose her? Hello? Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you.
That's okay. We are in the mode. We are in the mode to put together a document which is a blueprint for this talent show. That in the eventuality, if I am not either here at Waterford or within the division of St. Catherine South, the blueprint is there to continue this program.
Okay, that is how it's supposed to be. That makes sense. All right, I think we need to bring in Fire Royal. Hello? Hello? Fire Royal, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here on both sides of the story. Can you give us a summary of your brand, Fire Royal Records?
Well, Fire Royal Records is definitely all with music. We do everything where music is concerned. We look for young talent and we nurture them so they become like bigger talent. I've worked with Jamaica.
Sorry, we really don't move. We really want to hear you, but the audio is muffled. The sound is muffled. Are you using an earpiece?
Hold on a second. Hold on.
This is hello.
Yeah, you hear me better?
Oh, that's much better. Cleaner.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Go ahead, please.
Like I said, Fire Royal Records is based upon the youth.
Mhm.
I've been in the business for like 12 years now, since 2010. I nurture talent from ages 12 go on up to whatever.
Mhm.
I work with some of the bigger acts. I work with some of the younger acts. And when Miss Power got to me and told me that she wanted me to be a part of this youth talent search, the transformation, I was all for it because that's what I'm all for from morning, you know?
Yes. And what give us a little more in terms of the role that your brand, Fire Royal Records, will play, or perhaps have started to play with respect to this youth talent for transformation through the arts.
Okay, well, the part that is basically we will be giving the winners of this a winner of this studio time as well as a single. You know, we start by doing a lot of advertising with Miss Power. We do the audio ads. We do we also going to be with the motorcade and stuff is concerned.
Uh-oh. Lost him there. Let's try and reconnect. Listeners, this is Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. We're featuring a community initiative involving the St. Catherine South Police Division, the Waterford Police District, presenting their youth talent for transformation through the arts. And they're calling singers, dancers, dub poets, disc jocks, bloggers, actors, etc. And they have some prizes as well. And so far, we've been hearing from Senior Superintendent Christopher Phillips of the St. Catherine South Police Division, Detective Inspector Pilmar Powell of Uh, she's a sub officer in charge of the Waterford Police Station, and we were just listening to Fire Royal of Fire Royal Records a short while ago when we lost the connection. But we still have SSP Phillips. SSP Phillips, thank you very much for staying on the line. Uh, are there particular, do you get a sense that things are, well, hold it a moment, please. Let's take the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45.
Tune in to Farm Talk every second and third Tuesday of each month at 6:18 a.m. for the feature High Pro Food Independence. High Pro Food Independence will focus on solutions for farmers, such as land, animal husbandry, agronomy, and more. That's High Pro Food Independence every second and third Tuesday from 6:18 to 6:30 a.m. during Farm Talk, only on Power 106 FM. High Pro Food Independence is sponsored by High Pro.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on both sides of the story. Power 106 FM, the story of Jamaicans at home and abroad. We've been featuring the work of the St. Catherine South Police Division, the Waterford Police District. They're staging a youth talent for transformation through the arts program, and we're happy to highlight the program. They're also encouraging more young people between 13 and 25 to join the police youth club, and so there is that as well. But I wanted to find out from uh, SSP Christopher Phillips whether you get a sense that the general approach or response to the police on the part of young people, is there anything there to speak about? How is that in your regular everyday operations and activities?
Well, we find that there are still gaps in terms of how we engage with our youth out there, and those are some of the gaps that we're trying to fill those gaps through in innovative projects. We're looking on introducing our PYCs even in the schools, where we can have PYCs running actively in the schools at the community level. We are promoting more involvement of youth, even with their neighborhood watch and citizens association, that we on a campaign to promote communities, ensuring that they have youth arms to their neighborhood watch and citizens association. Um, the general feedback so far is that we're making good progress in terms of youth engagement. More youngsters are getting involved one way or the other. And it's just for us to continue on that path where we seek to educate and empower our citizens right across St. Catherine's South Division. When we do that, then it is left for us on the enforcement side of things.
Yes. And Detective Inspector Powell, what's the general sense you get from your interactions with the youngsters? Uh, uh, Please share.
Okay. For us within the Waterford Police District, the sense that we would receive, as I said before, is most time a sense of hopelessness and painstaking distress. And these would come from the home, the environment, the school, these areas.
Yes.
So basically, even at Waterford Police, we do mediation, we do
do counseling, and then if the situation is of such, there will be a referral for these persons to do further counseling. So that is cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, when we analyze and assess the situation. So most of these young people that come into us, the situation becomes very intense at times because we would realize that a lot of them will adapt the social environment, and we see the social learning coming out. We see such as cultural deviance coming out. But because we are so trained as police officers in understanding human behavior to a certain level, we are trained also how to interact. Even when they're on the high, we are very calm and listen, because you have to develop your listening skills, because even in their anger, you can hear the hurt, the grief, and the pain. That is one side.
Yes.
On the other side, you will see someone come in to know the police in their area. When we are patrolling, you see they wave to us, officer, and they tell us who they are, where they live, and they tell us how they like the police, and you see they come and be a part of whatever. So we are making strides.
Yes. For you personally, in terms of experience as a youngster to where you are now as an adult in terms of engaging, interacting with the police?
Yeah, from then till now, it's at Waterford. From St. Louis, Powell is a part of Waterford, St. Catherine South. Everything is just for easier, whereas communication with the police and everything, I see the youth are more engaged with her, and because she have a motherly understanding. I don't think she uses most of the police tactics. I think she uses mostly motherly understanding with us. So with that, we more easy to get along with her, more easy to engage with her, as well as SSP Phillips. He's very sturdy and he listens. So when we talk, he basically listens. So with that, we have no problem where they're concerned. Actually, what they're doing is a good thing, and to be a part of it is like even greater, because the youth, they actually need that strength,
Yes.
Yeah, actually need that strength.
And SSP Phillips, are you aware of youngsters who have expressed an interest in joining the police service, and what have they said is their reason, and why they would want to be a part of the constabulary, for example?
Well, I get that on a daily basis. I've had persons, look up my number on even the internet and call me about information to join. Most of the youngsters, they really want to be engaged. They want to give back to their country. And, they see the JCF as a way of, or as an avenue to give back service to their country, as far as I go across all the different policing areas, and it's generally the same. They really want to be a part of it, and if we leave them in the communities with nothing to do, then they become vulnerable and, are basically left to the gangs and criminals inside here to recruit them. We're doing our best on recruiting more persons to come and join us to assist to restore this kind of, peace and safety that we want for our communities across St. Catherine South Division. But generally, there is hope, I believe, if we continue to work as a team and to engage our citizens, let everybody know that, they are a part of the solution. They have to get on board. We will achieve much, if we continue not to give up on these youths, because I believe some of them are late bloomers. coming from the classroom, I know that boys sometimes take a longer time to get into their own, and so we really can't give up on them this time around. That's why we are pushing very hard with this program. We're looking for it to be a success. I know that we'll get great support. Already we have several persons who have expressed interest in just joining us on this initiative, and we welcome those persons, and building out the partner even stronger.
Excellent. And Detective Inspector Powell, give us an idea now of the details of this youth for transformation through the arts. Give us some of the specifics. What the youngsters who might be listening to us now in Waterford and elsewhere in the St. Catherine South Police Division, what they need to know about the youth talent for transformation through the arts program.
The Youth Talent for Transformation through the Arts. It is a program to move young people from an ascribed status to an achieved status. It is a channel to take them to fertile ground, positive fertile ground. It is wherein we open the category that enable all youth across, Dervan, I should say that when we looked at it and we had confined it to St. Catherine South, but as a committee, when we sat and we said youth, if a youth outside of St. Catherine South should turn up and want to audition, we shall not turn them back. We will not turn them back. Okay. Because this is for all youth, giving them this opportunity on October 22nd. It's Saturday, October 22nd. Portmore Mall, we begin at 9 a.m. We have given the youth several categories: singing, dancers, actors. Sun City Radio brought in the bloggers and the disc jockey. Winford Williams from on stage, he brought in the drama, because he brought our attention. When you look at TikTok, we would see some initiative, some creative way in which our Jamaican youth will go about to express themselves. So that is an area that we are so waiting, we are anticipating to see the dramas that will be coming out. Mm-hmm. So we are asking all youth to come out on Saturday to audition. Give yourself a chance. Use this platform to display, to demonstrate your talent, because you don't know how far this may reach. It may be far-reaching to take you even international.
Well
so
put.
Don't hide. You come out and give yourself a chance to go further on fertile ground.
Yes. And Fire Royal, tell us how. Just remind us how you're going to help, and perhaps you have a pointer or two, a word of advice to the youngsters who are looking to make it musically or otherwise, the arts in general.
Well, definitely. As Ms. Howard said, the theme of this is engage, educate, empower, and live good. That's the theme of this whole thing. So definitely, all where that's concerned, that's self-explanatory, Mm-hmm. So where Fire Royal Records is concerned, we're giving the youth a chance to express themselves. We're giving them a chance to come out, and when they come out with their best, their A game, and they just come out and do what they do. Because at the end of the day, the youth don't need some people that are really looking for their talent. A lot of them have so much talent, and they don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to bring it out. They don't know who to go to. So with that day on October 22nd, they will know who is there and who wants to hear them and all that stuff. Because we'll be there as a judge, and I just want all the youth to come out from all over, like Ms. Powell said, from all over. We're not expecting it to just St. Catherine South at the moment. We want every youth to come out. Yes. Because Ms. Powell is for the youth, SST Phillips is for the youth, as I said before, and I'm for the youth. Yes. From morning. So that's what we are, and I want to give these youth a chance to even get into the studio and get some recording done You know?
Yes.
So that's basically it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, we could go on all afternoon, but we have to wrap. SSP Phillips, what can we expect going forward? Whether a chief priority or a couple of priorities going forward, what can those you serve expect?
Well, they can expect to see more of the police. We are exploring all avenues to reach out to our citizens. One of the initiatives that we completed just on the 2nd of October is our virtual town hall meeting. We had over 200 plus persons on, and it's a regular feature of the division. It's one of the initiatives that we use to reach out to our various communities
and stay engaged. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes. Understood. You were going on to say something else, SSP?
Right.
Yes.
And in terms of, we have our challenges in St. Catherine, one of the very tough divisions to police. I have confidence. I've met some very fine people across the division, persons who are committed and wanting to see the best for their country.
Yes.
We continue to work with those persons, and we continue to do our deployment in a way that it is impactful and effective. Continue to do our assessment on the ground, determine where we need to put our resources and the things that we need to pay attention to. You can just expect more engagement, right, going across the different communities. We want to have far more citizens associations active. We have 6 active youth clubs, and that's not good enough. There are several others who are not yet in that full active state. We want to reactivate all of those youth clubs right across the Citizens Association, the Business Watch groups, all of the groups, all our partners, everybody to get on board, as we seek to really, change the face of policing and how we do policing in St. Catherine South Division.
Well, we'll be watching. We'll be tracking your progress. Well done to you. In fact, we look forward to having you on at different times as your program of activities are rolled out. But for the time being, thank you all so much for joining us on this afternoon's edition of Both Sides of the Story for 106 FM. Please keep in touch, Detective Inspector, so that we know when you're at the different stages of the competitions and activities, etc. So we can.
Dervan, could I say something quickly?
Yes.
Yes, with our team, engage, educate, empower, live good.
Yes.
It is not only a talent show, but there will be several booths as well to educate and empower. That will be Social Development Commission, Art NTSA,
right,
Island Traffic Authority, the police recruiting JCS, as also we'll be having the fire brigade, and there'll also be a booth that will speak on intellectual property rights. That is a trademark on the Copyright Act. So there'll be several educational booths as well. So it's not only a talent show.
No, this is big. It sounds like it's really big. Well done. Well done. Well, keep us posted. Perhaps after the 22nd, you can come back to us and give us another update.
Right.
All right. But
it's our pleasure, sir.
Yes, thank you all so much for the work that you continue to do. And we look forward to the next time we get the opportunity to speak with one or all of you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. So listeners, it's been a pleasure. Senior Superintendent of Police for the St. Catherine South Police Division, Mr. Christopher Phillips. You also heard from Detective Inspector Pilmar Powell, a sub-officer in charge of the Waterford Police Station. And Fire Royal of Fire Royal Records will be playing a part in the production of videos and recordings, etc., to help to some of these promising young people to do well musically. Thank you very much. Let's take the break and, yes, we're way over time. Sorry about that. Let's take the break and come back.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4 minutes past 4 o'clock here in St. Andrew, Jamaica.
Listen to your favorite programs live on the Power 106 FM app. You can download the app on Google Play Store and the App Store. Can't catch your favorite show live? Then listen to your show on our podcast library, wherever you are, whenever you wish. Power 106 FM, the digital sound, where all views can contend. Now online via the Power 106 FM app. And when you finally fly away, I'll be hoping that
Thanks a lot. Que ora es en español. Son las 4:05. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 4:05. 现在几点了？4:05。5 minutes past 4 o'clock. 5 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you had a checkup lately? If not, now is a good time. Let's not wait till we get sick to get a checkup. How about that? Checking in with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Good afternoon to those who have joined us since the last time we checked, like Cherry Henry. She says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan and listeners. Blessings always to you too, Cherry Henry. Natalie Winter in Washington Gardens says, great afternoon all to you too, Natalie Winter. Jeannie Chambers, good afternoon. Audrey Smith in Southampton in England says, good afternoon, Dervan and listeners everywhere. Tuning in from St. Elizabeth. Well, heck, excuse me, Audrey Smith. Welcome home. Welcome home. Enjoy. All the best. Valerie Rochester is in Atlanta, Georgia. Hello, Valerie Rochester. Thank you for tuning in. Patricia Williams says, hi, Dervan. Has the lawyer addressed the current situation with the demolition of houses in St. Catherine and possibly Loiras Vale? Yes, the matters were addressed, Patricia Williams. Sorry you missed it for the whole program, in fact, almost for the entire hour. Sorry you missed it, Patricia Williams. Catch it on the podcast. Catch the podcast on the Power 106 FM via the Power 106 FM app. And you can catch it on our Facebook page, the Dervan Malcolm Facebook page and YouTube channel as well. And Faye Weller says good afternoon again. Good afternoon, Faye Weller. Thank you very much. Asha Ash is in London, England. She says, hi, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan. I'm on the road listening from London, England. Good to have you tuned in, Asha Ash. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much. We're going to change gear now, not too far from the children, actually, still pretty close to the young people. As we featured a while ago, the plans and the activities that the police in St. Catherine South have for the young people and what they've been doing so far. Well, now we want to learn more about an initiative which is benefiting education here in Jamaica. There's a very special donation that is being made. Carlong Publishers making every child a reader literacy campaign. Make every child a reader literacy campaign being executed by Carlong Publishers. And so they will be hosting donation ceremonies, gifting the Sand Pebbles Pleasure Series to the Jamaica Library Service and School Library Network on Wednesday. That's Wednesday of this week, a couple of days from now, the 12th, Wednesday, the 12th of October. You know what? Let's just stop the talking and allow our guest to do the talking, because she has all the information. She is a pioneer and a champion for education in so many ways. She's director of Carlong Publishers, Mrs. Shirley Carby. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Malcolm. Glad to be alive.
Yes, indeed. We're all giving thanks for the gift of life, and doing what we can while we can to play our part, as our national pledge says, in advancing the welfare for the whole human race. But of course, we like to include the disclaimer that passing christening picnic first.
Indeed.
Right, and if
charity begins at home.
That's right. And so we usually like to use the analogy of what the flight attendants tell us before takeoff, for those who have had that experience, that when they're going through first before helping others. Right. So you've long put on your mask and you've long been helping. Well, tell us about this initiative of yours, because I'm learning about it for the first time, perhaps because I've been too busy and not paying attention to your good work, the Make Every Child a Reader literacy campaign.
Yes, well, this has been an ongoing campaign because it's a critical part of what we do as educational publishers. Mm-hmm. Literacy is at the heart of what we do, because literacy really empowers the individual to make his or her way through life. So in addition to the textbook that we publish, we also do creative literature, which extends the practice of reading beyond the classroom, and which hopefully will encourage and motivate children to become lifelong readers, because reading is a source of tremendous empowerment to the individual in so many different ways, as we all know.
Right. And what's the significance of the Sand Pebbles Pleasure series? Forgive me. Yeah, go ahead.
The Sand Pebbles Pleasure series is a creative literature series in both fiction and non-fiction for children at roughly the primary school level, aged between, say, 5 and 14, which offer them stories from across the Caribbean by different authors from across the Caribbean, stories about our own Caribbean experiences set in the Caribbean, about Caribbean people, about Caribbean flora, fauna, experiences, etc. So helping children to understand themselves in relation to the societies in which they live, to understand not only their own identity, but to give them confidence in who they are, that they are worthy to be the subject of books, and hopefully to encourage them to read for life because of the many, many skills that they develop from reading.
Yes.
And in a violent society such as ours,
oh Lord,
what reading encourages us to be more reflective, analytical, thoughtful, cooperative, and the stories help the children to explore all sorts of experiences, conflict, perceived deficiencies, and so on, poverty, relationships with others, and through what the writers offer, they develop skills to help them to cope with their lifelong experiences.
Yes. And for the publications now, you've already determined who gets what or where you'll be channeling these books?
Well, these books are books which we offer for sale to the general public, but because of the critical role which the Jamaica Library Service plays in developing literacy, we have partnered with them over the years in many initiatives to promote and sustain literacy. And periodically, every 5 years or so, we make a major donation. And because of the recent COVID experiences,
Yes.
when so many children were deprived of, exposure to reading and so on, we thought it would be a good time and a worthwhile contribution to take the children back into the reading habit. So we are donating 1,000 copies of 9 titles from our Santa Pleasure series, 100 copies of each, to be put into the school's library network and the children's libraries of the Jamaica Library Service.
Yes. I wonder, well, I can hear some children perhaps saying now, me miss, in terms of getting a copy. But what you're doing is ensuring that it reaches everybody, including those who don't have certain means, but who would be able to go to the library, whether at school or in their community, and have access to the material.
Right, that's
Yes.
what the libraries are for.
Right. One moment, please. Let's just take a break and come back. One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now 4:50.
16 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. ¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 4:16. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4:16. Tsietsai, Tidian le, Si Dien Shi Liao Fen. 16 minutes past, well, the time just changed. It's now 17 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you done your homework yet? If not, now is a good time. Good afternoon to all the schoolers listening to us, all the students from the early childhood level to the secondary level. Trust you had a productive day of learning today. Hope you also managed to get in some physical activity, just as important as mental activity. As we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable. Education makes you trainable. Training makes you employable. And the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. Continuing with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Carlong Publishers hosting its donation ceremonies, gifting the Sand Pebbles Pleasure Series to the Jamaica Library Service and the School Library Network. And it is scheduled for this coming Wednesday, the 12th of October. The donation is valued at approximately $1 million. And this is another demonstration. If ever we needed further confirmation, not that we ever doubted the commitment of Carlong Publishers, here's another example of our reminder of the work that they've been doing over the years. And so after Wednesday, you perhaps look forward to another period when you have another donation. How do you determine when to do this, or the frequency with which you do this?
As I said, about every 5 years or so, we make a major donation. But every year, we partner with the Jamaica Library Service in their reading competition. We donate prizes from the Santa Pleasure Series to the winners of the various categories. And we usually give them about 150 books per year. for various prizes for the competition.
So it's pretty routine for you.
It's pretty routine. They're such a critical agency because they foster access to everybody. Anybody can become a member of the library. So you can't make an excuse that you don't have any money.
Yes.
You can go in and read. And if you get into the habit of doing that, it really transforms your life as an individual.
Yes.
I can personally attest to the role that the library has played in my own development, and fostering the love of reading that has opened up a whole new world for me.
Yes. And has that been a characterization that could be applied to Carlong Publishers Caribbean Limited itself, a whole new world?
A whole new world, because we see ourselves not only as a commercial entity, but as a cultural entity. And we have a most important role to help to foster identity awareness, cultural awareness, and confidence among our people, so that our young people don't have to want to be Americans or to migrate, but we want them to see that Jamaica is worthy of them,
yes,
and that they have a critical role to play in building Jamaica, and then letting the rest of the world know who we are as Jamaicans, what we are like, to take pride in their country.
Yes.
And to be confident, not to consider themselves as less than or inferior, but to be proud of who they are.
Yes.
And not to be vacillating anymore about whether they are African or mimic Englishmen, but to claim the Jamaican and Caribbean heritage. Because
Yes.
we have a lot to offer.
Yes.
We have done a lot as a people. So that is our purpose, to
Yes.
help to create that kind of awareness and confidence about who we are and what we have to offer to the world.
And to what would you attribute the level of stick-to-itiveness and just genuine drive in delivering in this field as publishers? I mean, there are entities that have come and gone. For how long has Carlong been around now? And essentially, what have you identified as key elements, the key ingredients that have been and development of Carlong Publishers, and by extension, the growth and development of our readers?
Well, I would say my own consciousness raising in the 70s. We went through a lot in the 70s, but it was a period of consciousness raising, when I was in my, 20s or something.
Yes.
And I began to see that I too could aim to be somebody.
To put it in Jamaican parlance, you're a smarty picnic too.
Precisely. That whole thing that Rex Nicholson called smartization.
Yes.
And so on. I was influenced by that. We went through a period of economic difficulty, special difficulty in the 70s, and we couldn't import all the books we needed to import. So it provided an opening for me to say, can't we do some of these books ourselves as substitutes for what we cannot import? And the response of the market to this new phenomenon called a local textbook was overwhelming. So that encouraged and motivated me to continue. And there was a group of us at the time in the book industry, and we came together and formed the Book Industry Association of Jamaica, And we set all kinds of goals for ourselves and just systematically, went from strength to strength. So a whole new flood of local publications started to emerge, both in textbooks and in general creative literature and so on. And then our Ministry of Education gave us their vote of confidence and adopted the books and said they were worthy. I purchased copies and put in all the primary schools in Jamaica. So that was another encouraging development, which helped to keep us going. I just believe that God used me at that time in a special way to accomplish a special task. Yes. And thank God, we are still going today. And, we are respected more than the foreign publishers in terms of the relevance, pedagogical soundness, and general quality of our publications. Our market has also encouraged us to continue.
Can you give us a sense of the demographics in terms of the writers in general terms? I mean, is that we continue to honor the new writers? We have, that has been the case over the years, or is it the same set of people who are writing?
No, the existence of the publishing opportunity through series like Santedos encouraged. We went looking for new authors for the Santedos series. We were especially interested in finding new authors. So the existence of publishing opportunity has encouraged local people to write. Unfortunately, the purchasing power has not been there in the community. So we don't sell many of these books, these Santedos pleasure series. But I see them as a cultural imperative.
Yes.
And so if we can't sell them, we donate them. Because it is important that children should see themselves in books, see themselves and their own stories, their own situation reflected in the book. Because when a child gets a book to read that is set in his own space and talks about his own experiences, his interest is around.
Yes.
He identifies with the characters, and he gets a higher regard for himself, that I can be a book, or a book can be about me. So therefore, I am somebody.
Right.
And reading, what we try to do in Santedos also is to produce quality books. The stories, we have a series editor who rigorously examines and reviews all the stories we get to make sure that the stories conform to what is required for good writing in terms of the story itself, the characters, the setting, the language that is used, the values that are purveyed, the knowledge that is transmitted, especially subconsciously, because you don't want to preach at the children.
True.
But you want them to learn by absorption, as it is, the kind of values, that you want to inculcate in children so that they develop a good character. Yes. And we are not afraid of being moralistic in promoting fundamental Christian values.
Yes.
Like honesty, hard work, discipline, caring for others, obedience to your elders, ambition to be somebody.
Yeah.
So all these things are transmitted in a pleasant, entertaining way to the child, which is different from the textbook approach, which is more pedestrian.
True.
You know, the story, they're reading a story, and all of us love stories. All of us love stories. The
True.
teachers know that.
Yes. Look, we could go on all afternoon, goodness. But we're going to have to close this chapter for the time being.
Yes, sir. We are grateful for the opportunity to remind Jamaica of the valuable work being done by the Jamaica Library Service,
Yes.
and the importance of reading and literacy development for their children and themselves.
You have added value to this afternoon's edition of Both Sides of the Story. Thank you so much, Mrs. Shirley Carby. All the best.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malcolm. God bless you.
Bless you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Mrs. Shirley Carby, Director, Carlong Publishers, joining us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, and highlighting a presentation that is scheduled to come up on Wednesday, the donation of $1 million worth of the Sand Pebbles Pleasure Series of books to the Jamaica Library Service and the School Library Network. That presentation will take place on Wednesday. We're going to leave it here for now and come back with more after the break.
FM. The time is now
6.
The Caribbean University, an ISO certified institution, offers Bachelor of Science degree in cruise shipping, Bachelor of Engineering degrees, logistics, marine tourism, port management, security administration and management, and more. For further information, call 876-924-8150, 876-924-8175, or email info@cmu.edu.jm.
Farmers, come for a candid conversation with the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr. Learn more about the agricultural sector and the role we all play with its development. That's a Morning with the Minister, every second and fourth Friday of every month during Farm Talk with Alfie McKenzie, right here on Power 106 FM.
Que hora es en español? Son las 5 menos 28. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 5 heures moins 28. 现在几点了？5点cha Sher Ba Fen. 28 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Do you know where your children are? Are they where they're supposed to be? Doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's a good time to check up on the children. A good time for us to continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Just checking briefly the Jamaica-gleaner.com website for the stories that are trending. NIA calls for full disclosure of divestment of assets seized by law enforcement. That's the story. A local corruption watchdog group wants full public disclosure and explanation on how billions of dollars in assets forfeited to government under the Proceeds of Crime Act (POCA) are being managed and divested. The call by the National Integrity Action NIA comes a day after a Sunday Gleaner report about a court order obtained by the Financial Investigation Division, FID, that stripped Jamaican drug boss Andrew Hamilton of half his $1 billion portfolio of assets. The NIA is the local affiliate of the global anti-corruption group Transparency International. 14 multi-million-dollar homes, 4 motor vehicles, 4 bulldozers, and a bank account with $19 million are among the nearly 24 assets worth more than $500 million, which Hamilton recently turned over to the state in compliance with an order by the Supreme Court, the Financial Investigations Division confirmed. The homes include a penthouse suite and 2 other apartments in the upper-class neighborhood of Norbrook St. Andrew and 6 other apartments in a gated complex on Seaview Avenue, also in St. Andrew. Where is that artist when you need him to start singing? What's his name? There's an artist who had been singing about this, what's the name of the song? In relation to blood money run the nation. Protege, that's the fellow's name. That's his stage name, Protege. And here's a manifestation of what Protege had been singing about. And a lot of us have known this for some time in terms of information, credible information that has been brought forward. But here it is. So the FID confirmed in the Sunday Gleaner report that it is currently managing more than $1.8 billion in assets forfeited to the government via the Proceeds of Crime Act, including real estate, motor vehicles, and cash. Another $1 billion in assets is currently restrained or frozen by court order, the agency confirmed. Well, Bob Marley told us a long time ago that what was hidden in the dark must come out to light. So it is what it is. And choices have consequences, don't they? So it is. All right, so that's a teaser. Maybe we'll hear more in the major news at 5. In the meantime, please allow us to greet Velta Wilson in St. Thomas. She says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm and listeners. Have a marvelous Monday evening. Same to you, Velta Wilson. Ricardo in Glengoff, St. Catherine. Good afternoon to you. Shout out to all the listeners from across the world, he says. And Sean says, hi, Uncle Dervan. Good afternoon to you, Sean, and all the very best. Take care. Let's continue now with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112, 876-922-4113, 876-922-4114, and 876-922-4115. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us via WhatsApp as well. That number is 876-365-3346. Here's a message from Cuban in Georgia. He says, good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. We need to see a softer side of our Jamaican people. We've been too rough for 50 years now. Well, it's more than 50, it's 60. He says, Sir Malcolm, the new monkeypox vaccine is in. I want to bring this awareness to our people. Don't drop the ball. We've come a far way, says Cuban in Georgia. Here's a message from, this is a long one. Goodness. Spider. This is like a web. All right. Well, hold on a moment there, Spider. Let's see if we can clear a couple of the shorter messages. James in East London, thank you for the usual thread of messages, thread of stories, we should say, published in the United Kingdom. Thank you for putting them together for us so we can get and opening that window to developments in the UK. Some other messages that have come in. Barbara, good afternoon to you. Nardia says, good evening. Good afternoon, Nardia. She says, Mr. Malcolm, I'd like for you to send belated birthday greetings to my sister. Looks like Abony. Abonyi. Never seen this one before. Abony. So, belated birthday greetings to Nardia's sister, Abony. Hope she did enjoy herself yesterday. Enough love. Thank you for your message. And let's go down the line here. Someone has sent us a couple of audio links, which we are not able to listen to now. At some other time. Sorry about that. And let's see. Just combing through the other messages. Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary, says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Happy Monday to you and your listeners. Seems like the situation in the Ukraine is getting worse as the days pass. Russia launched the heaviest wave of attacks since the start of the war. The entire Ukraine was without power this morning and shelling is still going on. When will all this madness stop? Asks Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary. Yes, it's one of the realities of life when we have to deal with people, as we have always said. And man is perhaps the most destructive creature on the face of this planet. There's a reason why we keep saying that. There's a reason why we keep saying that. That man must be protected from himself. Man must be protected from himself. Left to himself, man is perhaps the most destructive creature on the face of the earth. This mere mortal man, in fact, a bit of Shakespeare just came to me right now. There's a piece by Shakespeare, Man, Proud Man. It's most profound. Dressed in, let me see if I can bring it up, because it is most profound. Those of us who think that we are going to, in a manner, reign supreme forever, think again. Think again. But no, I really want to go to this one, right? Shakespeare, but man, proud man, dressed in a little brief authority, most ignorant of what he's most assured. His glassy essence, like an angry ape, plays such fantastic tricks before high heaven, as makes the angels weep, who, with our spleens, would all themselves laugh more. So as man, we need to recognize, universal man we're talking about now, mankind, we need to recognize that we are only we're dressed in a little authority. We're dressed in a little brief authority, only for a time, quite transient, only for a time. It's most unfortunate. It's, what's another term for it? Man's inhumanity to man. That's why man must be protected from himself. Left to himself, man is perhaps the most destructive creature on the face of the planet. And there's another poem for this as well. That's the one that says, give us men. And as men, we need to think on these things. Give Us Men by Josiah Gilbert Holland. Josiah Gilbert Holland. A time like this demands strong, well, let's bring it up. God, give us men, strong minds, great hearts, true faith, and ready hands. Men whom the lust of office does not kill. Men whom the spoils of office cannot buy. Men who possess opinions and a will. Men who have honor. Men who will not lie. Men who can stand before a demagogue and damn his treacherous flatteries without winking. Tall men, sun-crowned, who live above the fog, in public duty and in private thinking. For while the rabble, with their thumb-worn creeds, their large professions and their little deeds, mingle in selfish strife, lo, freedom weeps, wrong rules the land, and waiting justice sleeps. More in a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:46 on Power 106.
Listen to your favorite programs live on the Power 106 FM app. You can download the app on Google Play Store and the App Store. Can't catch your favorite show live? Then listen to your show on our podcast library, wherever you are, whenever you wish. Power 106 FM, the digital sound, where all views can contend. Now online via the Power 106 FM app.
Que ahora es en español, son las 5:14. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 5:14. 现在几点了？5:14 14 minutes to make that 13 minutes now. Time just changed. 13 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Good afternoon to all working Jamaicans tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. It's a good time for us to ask ourselves, how productive have we been today? How productive have we been today? Let's continue with more on your program, both sides of the story, Power 106 FM, taking your calls on 876-922-4112, 876-922-4113, 876-922-4114, and 876-922-4115. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us on WhatsApp as well. That number is 876-365-3346. Let's go to the phone lines in just a moment. Let's clear a couple more messages here on your program, both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. All right, Spider, you get your opportunity now with your lengthy message, plus a couple of additional threads. So Spider says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. I get to understand that Mr. Elon Musk is going to set up a business in Jamaica. If that is so, this could be a blessing in disguise for Jamaica. This island is bleeding right now. I don't know much about Elon Musk, but I get to understand that he is very big on technology, could be the silver bullet that Jamaica needs right now. I don't know if Elon Musk has this technology yet. Say, for instance, a crime is committed at a certain place, and say whoever committed the crime manages to leave the scene without being caught. Elon Musk could use his technology to retract or retrace to the scene where the crime took place and follow whoever committed the crime from its satellite. Elon Musk has from his satellite he has in the sky and follow those criminals wherever they are coming from. We welcome Elon Musk in Jamaica, says Spider, otherwise known as Horace. He goes on to say, can you see the future, Dervan, if we have this? All some cases that take years could take just 1 day or less to solve. And he goes on to say, this technology would be like going to the third umpire in a cricket match if it can come to life. And he finally, from Spider, and read the road that I spoke about on Friday. I know it's Stephen Shaw's responsibility for the road and not Air. But Mr. Air spoke so. You mean Canute Hare. I beg your pardon. You're talking about Canute Hare, Hare. But you have here AIR. Oh, so let's do this again. And read the road that I spoke about on Friday. I know it's Stephen Shaw's responsibility for the road and not Hare, as in Canute Hare, but Mr. Hare on driving on the road. So I expect the same passion to speak about bad roads when he sees it. His voice would carry more weight than mine, says Spider. Thank you very much for your long message, Spider. All the very best. Thank you very much. And we did mention James in East London. We haven't looked at the stories out of the UK, courtesy of James in East London, in a few days from last week, I think. But it looks like a lot has happened since we shared the last collection of stories out of the UK. So, for example, coming out of the UK today, as shared with us by James in East London, Home Secretary Suella Braverman said she had reservations about relaxing immigration controls as part of any trade deal with India. Earlier this year, then Prime Minister Boris Yeltsin indicated an agreement could mean accepting Delhi's demands for an increase in Indian migration to the UK. And there are a lot of Indians in the UK already. Disability, what's this now? Disability, sexual orientation, and religious hate crimes all increased last year in the UK, while anti-transgender crime rose by 56%. More than 100,000 racist hate crimes were recorded in England and Wales for the first time last year. Statistics show offenses against all minority groups rose by more than a quarter, the largest annual rise since 2017. Armed robbers stole police car after being left alone with the keys after arrest. What a thing. South London church takes in 55 residents who were shivering in shorts. The church opened its doors to 55 people who were in shock after they were evacuated. A Thornton Health Church transformed into an evacuation center in 20 minutes when a fire broke out at a nearby tower block. So those are just some of the stories that James in East London has shared with us. some of the stories making the news in the UK. Speaking of news, major news is coming up at 5 here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. Here's a bit of history. 1905, the Honorable Abram Abe Elias Issa, OBE, affectionately called Mr. Jamaica, was born on this day in 1905 in Kingston. Abe Issa is regarded as one of the pioneers of the Jamaican tourist industry, entering the industry when his family bought the Myrtlebank Hotel on the Kingston Harbor in 1943. Speaking of the Kingston Harbor, I discovered a treasure. Not that I didn't know it was there before, but in terms of being there physically. Ocean Towers. Those are apartments, ocean towers, that have been overlooking the Kingston waterfront for decades. It was my first time at Ocean Towers yesterday. My goodness, it is quite something. Quite something. And it should really be that more such developments would sort of would be rolled out in that general area, but it's the only oceanfront residence that I'm just picturing the rest of the waterfront there, and I believe so. But of course, they have company again on the waterfront with Rock Hotel, which is right there on the waterfront. And people were moving about on the waterfront pretty late, well into this morning, and safely so, knock on wood. Now, having said it, I'm knocking on wood because we know some of our people like to do things. When we say things, they try to do the opposite. But it was quite something. Anyway, let me get back to the story. So we're sharing the story of the Honorable Abram Abe Elias Issa. His distinguished contribution to the Jamaican tourist industry was cemented in 1949. He built the Tar Isle Hotel in St. Mary, which became the first resort hotel to be opened all year round. It was the decision to build Tar Isle, which is now Couples, on Jamaica's north coast, which led to the development of the north coast and signaled the modernization of Jamaica's tourism. In 1955, he became the first chairman of the Jamaica Tourist Board and held this post until 1962. He also served as president of the Caribbean Tourism Association, while simultaneously being the chairman and director of some 36 companies. Abe Issa also led the way in the development of the New Kingston Business District in 1959. With his involvement in the development of the Caymanas Park racing track, the old Knutsford Park racing track was transformed into a central and active commercial area. Abe Elias Issa also established the first supermarket in Jamaica, Hilo, and the first shopping center, Tropical Plaza. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Monday, the 10th of the 10th, 2022. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm, reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
News, comprehensive, powerful, and credible.
Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's news at 5.
Good afternoon, I am Dervan Gordon. Coming up in the news segment of Beyond the Headlines today, Monday, October 10, 2022. Police rescue girl abducted from St. Catherine. 6 persons shot, 1 fatally in St. James. Psychiatrist rejects correlation between mental illness and high level of violence in the society. Guyana police are searching for 3 men who robbed a local newspaper office. In business news, BOJ intervenes in foreign exchange market twice in the last 2 days.
It's the Radio Jamaica Major News Simulcasts. Weekdays at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 5 p.m. Weekends at midday and Sundays at 6 p.m. on Power 106 FM and online at onespotmedia.com and go-jamaica.com. Can't catch the news at these times? Download the Power 106 FM app from the Play Store or the Apple Store for news whenever, wherever at your convenience. Power 106 FM, powerful talk radio and news you can trust.
At RadioJamaica94fm.com. Quick action by Sea Talk detectives today led to the rescue of a girl who was reported abducted by thugs in St. Catherine last night. 3 suspects, including a female, have been arrested in connection with the incident. Radio Jamaica News understands that the victim was invited to a party in St. Catherine by one of the suspects. She was subsequently abducted and repeatedly raped. It's understood that she was found at a location in the Manchester Police Division during a police operation. She is now getting medical attention. 6 persons were shot, 1 fatally during an attack in Pimento Hill, Springmount, St. James on Sunday. 21-year-old